DJI is famous for its Osmo Mobile gimbals, and I've been using them since the second gen, and they are awesome. But are they still worth it? On one hand, we have an iPhone with an action mode that stabilizes the picture greatly, but on another, Apple itself used a lot of third-party gimbals when it filmed the Scary Fast event. So the biggest question today is, do we still need a gimbal for an iPhone in order to shoot stable videos? Do they complement each other or basically doing the same thing? It's Alex here, welcome to the Geeks Table, and let's start our review. While we're still waiting for the Osmo Mobile 7, or whatever it will be called, let's do a quick comparison between Osmo Mobile 6 and OM5. Both of them are extremely compact and can be easily fit into a messenger bag. They both come with a tripod base, which comes handy when shooting time lapses, and of course the phone clamp to hold your phone. The clamp of Osmo Mobile 6 is more universal. No matter if your phone has square edges or round edges, it will hold it perfectly. The one OM5 comes with is fine for round-edged phones, but it might be risky for the squared ones, so keep that in mind. OM5 comes in two colors, pinky white and light gray, and I have the white version, and Osmo Mobile 6 comes in dark gray and platinum white, and in this case I have a dark gray option. They both have a built-in selfie stick, where Osmo Mobile 6 is a tiny bit taller. Both have a perfect build quality, and that's quite a steady construction. The top part can be adjusted and turned in a particular angle, so if you do selfies, it will have you perfectly in the frame. Or, if you go creative like this, you'll have the correct angle to shoot your legs while walking normally. And I really love this shot. Thanks to the gimbal, I could go above the bars and have a better angle to shoot the animals. Osmo Mobile 6 can also turn itself on when you unfold the mechanism like this, and then you can attach the phone and it will automatically adjust and balance it. Sometimes it's not perfect, and please pay attention to this part. Your phone may be attached, but not perfectly aligned, and in the end, this may lead to a possible accident. Another improvement is that when you fold the Osmo Mobile 6, now this part can be clicked and fixed like this. With OM5, this part is loose, so you can't click it like here and make it fixed. Well, not a big deal, but this small improvement makes this construction look more pretty. Now let's talk about the controls. This is something that got changed quite significantly over the years. It's been since forever for DJI Osmo Mobile gimbals to have a joystick and a zoom slider. And on one hand, you can rely on your body, so you can move physically around when shooting, or you could rely on the controls. So OM5, the prior version, is the only one that has a digital joystick. It means that once you press left, it goes left with a constant speed. And when you press right, it goes right with a constant speed. It is consumer friendly, you just press and it works. But all Osmo gimbals before OM5 had analog joystick, and thank goodness we have it back in Osmo Mobile 6. It's a bigger construction, the joystick looks like the one from the gamepads, and because it's analog, the pressure is translated to the speed. So I could move it slowly first and then go all the way to the edge, or vice versa. So it gives us more control over the shooting process, and we can really go creative when doing our videos. I'm personally a big fan of the analog joystick, but if you don't use a joystick that often and you rely on your body instead, then you won't notice an improvement. What you will notice is this wheel on the Osmo Mobile 6. It allows you to zoom in and out, and on top of that, it can work as a focus wheel, if the phone lens supports it. Well, I understand why they did that. All previous gimbals had this zoom trigger, and it was digital. Same as the digital joystick, it was zooming in and out with a constant speed, which might not be that pretty. So now, we can zoom in and out precisely with the speed of our choice. On one hand, I do like it, we have more flexibility, more creativity, but the digital trigger had a great feature. If you press it once and release it, it will switch to the next physical lens available. So you could just use it as a button to jump between the lenses, avoiding any digital zoom. If we use the new one, it doesn't have this feature and it doesn't have any hard stops near the physical lenses. So you can easily move to the digital zoom or be just a bit away from the real lens using a crop. So I'm not a fan of this zoom option. However, if you press on it, like this, it starts controlling the focus, and that's something that sounds more intriguing. The idea here is that you give a bit of depth to your video. You shoot something close to the camera, and then you start turning the focus wheel until the focus switches to the background. But it took me a lot of time to record something that is worth showing. Usually the video was just blurry, because the DJI app doesn't know the focus limits of the phones, so it doesn't know when to stop. I could spend quite some time to figure out where the correct points are. Instead of using the wheel, I usually do the following. I record 60 frames per second, then I tap on the foreground element to get the focus there, and then I tap on the background to switch to the focus further. And then I'm able to slow this process up to 2.5 times when switching to the 24 frames per second timeline. And I'd be getting a smooth focus transition. Then it occurred to me that this could be a perfect tool for the macro mode that the latest phones have. And in this case, I would say I do prefer manual focus rather than the Apple's default behavior. In order to use the focus ring, I have to use DJI Mimo app, because otherwise it won't work. And DJI Mimo has its own algorithms which are not that severe compared to Apple's default camera. But DJI Mimo doesn't have a night mode, so when I played with the manual focus in the evening, I ended up with quite a noisy video. And that's a pity when a really good shot would be ruined by the software. So I ended up just disabling the wheel in the settings because there is not much of a benefit using it, at least for me. Also, you can accidentally touch it when using the gimbal, and that might affect the shot. Alright, that was a lot of time dedicated to the controls. I hope it was useful to you. Now we're going to compare the internal stabilization of the camera versus the gimbal. My tests were made on iPhone 15 Pro just because it's my daily phone. But probably it can be applied to some other phones like the latest Samsung and Google flagships. Anyways, we had the following tests: slow walk, fast walk, running, and going down the stairs. These are probably the main scenarios in which you might need a gimbal. Also, when I had to walk or run, I would do it naturally, like I normally would. No catwalking, no intentional shake, like Apple did in their video. Let's start with a slow walk, and we have 3 examples: 15 Pro in action mode, the DJI gimbal using the Mimo app, and also a DJI gimbal with the standard camera app. The result on all of them looks stable, but action mode crops the image, so it feels like we're more close to the subject. And also I've noticed that the default camera has a slightly more stable result compared to the Mimo app. Now let's do a faster pace, and here we use iPhone 15 Pro in action mode versus iPhone 15 Pro in standard mode, and versus the gimbal, of course. The standard mode was quite stable, so I would say you don't really need an action mode if the person moves like this. DJI with default camera does a great job too, but again, I don't really think that a gimbal would be even necessary here. Okay, so now let's try running and compare the results. And in this case, action mode is much better than the standard one. Also, I found it a bit hard to follow the person with a gimbal because I didn't have the object tracking turned on. So I had to manually move my hand with a gimbal to follow the person. So next time I thought, okay, let's use the active track technology so the gimbal would be locked on the head of the person and potentially we should be having a better image. This is the ultra-wide camera, by the way, and look how shaky DJI video is. And this is actually the screen capture, so you can see the face tracking is turned on, it's there. I was really confused with this, so I thought it could be because of running or because of the ultra-wide lens. So I did just walking and used the main camera. And as you can see, the video looks actually worse than the one I had without a gimbal. I definitely was not expecting this. But okay, let's move to the stairs scenario. This is just the standard mode and the phone on a gimbal. The stairs were quite steep, but in both cases we got quite a stable picture. Here I am using the ultra-wide camera in action mode versus gimbal with face tracking, and because the stairs are steep, as I said, the gimbal starts shifting itself clockwise. Again, I thought it might be because of the ultra-wide camera, so I used the main one next time, and once again, the gimbal ruined the shot. The iPhone 15 Pro in standard mode could do it without a problem. Speaking of active track itself, I'd say it may be useful at some point. If you fix it on a tripod, you'll get more consistent results overall. DJI says that the latest Osmo Mobile has an improved tracking algorithm, but to me they both looked similar. And they both would lose the subject from time to time, so this shouldn't be a selling point for you. So after extensive testing, I would say in most scenarios like walking around, the standard camera in the latest iPhones will get you covered. If one is running or skating or some action is happening, the action mode is your way to go. Do remember though that this limits you to 2.3K, so you're losing in quality quite a bit. But if you're fine with it, then great. But if you wish to record with any lens, without losing any details and in any scenario, consider buying a gimbal. Paired with a phone, it will be able to produce amazing shots that would look stunning, unique and professional. Let me know down in the comments what do you guys think. I hope my experiments helped you a little bit, and if yes, hit a like and consider subscribing. It's been Alex, and see you at the Geeks Table. Bye bye!